Hello and welcome back to Exothermic Plays Games. I'm Exothermic, and the date today is Saturday, November 9th, 2024. I've been doing a countdown of my favorite video games of all time through each day of the year, and coming in at number 53 is Rock Band 3. There's a few things I want to preface about this video. First, if you haven't watched my video for the first Rock Band game, which I ranked as my 70th favorite game of all time, there's a lot of things about the structure here and there that I'm not going to repeat. So if you're totally unfamiliar with how these games are structured, I highly suggest you check that out. Second, as a reminder, this is from a Rock Band party at a friend's house, and we were playing Rock Band 4. Just, pretend this is footage of Rock Band 3, I guess. They're really not that different, and also remember that nobody in this video is a professional musician, and half of them are also drunk. Third, this is also kind of a ranking of the Beatles Rock Band game. Many of the improvements to the franchise for Rock Band 3 were actually introduced in that title and then carried on. So before I get into Rock Band 3 itself, I do want to just touch on the Beatles. The first Rock Band game and then the second Rock Band game and a whole ton of Guitar Hero games had come and gone with literally no songs from the most prolific musical group in history or even covers of them. I love the Beatles. I've gone to entire cover concerts where they pretend to be the Beatles in the 60s. The greatest concert I've ever been to was in 2011 when I saw Paul McCartney, and a promoter at the concert gave us free upgrades on our tickets from literally as far away from the stage as you could possibly get to, all the way to the second row. There is a real chance I'm in the official DVD release of that concert tour. So the Beatles Rock Band was awesome to get, and I played a whole lot of it. You got to follow through the Beatles' history from random shows in Liverpool to Ed Sullivan, all the way to the rooftop show at the end. There's videos that play along to your music, not just of renderings of the members of the band as they would have appeared at the time that the music released, playing on stage. That's all pretty normal stuff, but they also had animated music video bits that they made for the game, which I thought were really cool. But the most important thing that the game did was introduce vocal harmonies, allowing up to 3 people to sing simultaneously on the vocals, and it worked really intuitively. You didn't need a ton of extra controllers, just more microphones. You could sing into any USB microphone that's plugged into the system, and it would register it as a separate person from the rest, but generally only the main vocalist would get scored on things. So this works especially well for the party setups we would do, because we could mid-song just have people hop in and out whenever they feel like it and focus on the fun without having to worry about anything with scores. So when Rock Band 3 rolled around the following year, it kept in the harmonies, but that's just the beginning. Rock Band 3 added a 5th instrument, so players could now play keyboard. I never did a whole lot with the keyboard, and evidently that's true of a lot of people, because they dropped support for it with Rock Band 4, but for the songs that really do great with it, it was awesome. I didn't own the keyboard myself, that's why I didn't do a lot with it, otherwise I probably would have done a ton, but going to other people's houses, having parties, all of that, if they had the keyboard, that was a lot of fun to do, and I really liked it. There's also more to that, though. In addition to adding keyboards, they added other options for the pre-existing instruments, allowing you to use any MIDI keyboard and guitars to play the parts. It was very awesome, gave you a whole lot more immersion, and you could actually kind of branch out from there into starting to actually learn some of these instruments a little better. You could do a whole lot. It was cool. But they also did more with the drum kit. They added cymbals. You could just use an actual electronic drum kit and just plug it in, and it worked. super awesome if you're actually a drummer. I'm not. But they did sell cymbal attachments that you could attach to the pre-existing Rock Band drums. And I never bought any of these upgrades, but as I mentioned, I would play them at parties, and they were always way better. This is one of the big reasons that Rock Band 3 is better, because it allows you to do this. On the flip side, with Rock Band 3 and Rock Band 2 compared to Rock Band 1, they're actually backwards compatible, so that any music you owned from the previous games ported into your game for that. So you could actually keep using the one disc and didn't have to keep swapping back and forth. And sometimes games could actually update the stuff to include the new functions like harmonies, but that didn't happen all the time. Using these additional instruments to add the authenticity caused us to explore additional options for authenticity as well, like the purchase of a cowbell exclusively for playing Don't Fear the Reaper. In the vocals, there's parts where maybe the singer has like a tambourine or whatever, and you do those by tapping on the end of the microphone, and it just registers that. Anything you do that does a pop in the microphone will register as doing that. But what's great is if you just do anything that makes a loud noise, it also works. So we bust out the cowbell, and you just kind of go to town, and it works. It's awesome. But really, the most important thing about all of these additions is that if you had asked me what my favorite song was at any point from like 2002 to 2012, I would have told you Bohemian Rhapsody by Queen. So when the song was in Rock Band 3 finally, with full keyboard support and vocal harmonies, I did that song so many times. And maybe I'm biased, but I think with how practiced I am, it was one of the better performances from the night. Still not professional. Don't make me think that, like, I'm not saying, it's karaoke. It is. But it was definitely the one I had the most fun with. Join me tomorrow as I talk about my 52nd favorite game, where I finally discuss my favorite MOBA.